Welcome to Rock's Previews, Reviews and Excerpts. This is the excerpt from Mistborn, The Well of Ascension, narrated by Michael Kramer. It is the opening scene of the book, and gives reader and listeners the next installment and second ebook/audiobook in the series. It is the first 5 minutes of the 28 hours and 56 minutes of the second audiobook from Audible. The Lord Ruler has been killed, and a year has passed since the events of Mistborn, the final empire, and the various sources are vying for dominance in his absence. Elend and the rest of Kelsier's crew are working hard to reassemble the empire, but they are up against several obstacles. At the same time, they strive to decipher the Lord Ruler's mysterious final words. Point of view: Elend, Vin. The opening scene is on the eve of a siege. Elend, Venture and Hammond have a conversation as they gaze outwards from the tops of Luthadel's walls. Elend is concerned that Venture and his estimated 50,000 men will force the assembly to abandon the city in order to save bloodshed. Breeze has also vanished, and Elend has no idea where Vin is. Vin skulks through the streets of Luthadel to meet Auser in the second scene, thinking on the events of the previous year. She considers how she has always used allomancy, but just has a basic understanding of it. She proposes retreating to the wall, just as a shower of steel-pushed coins hurtles towards her, deflating her worries of being followed.
Ham nodded. Just before the army's advance. "I think we should call a meeting of the crew," Elend said. "See if we can come up with a way out of this." "We'll still be pretty short-handed," Ham said, rubbing his chin. "Spook isn't supposed to be back for another week, and the Lord Ruler only knows where Breeze went. We haven't had a message from him in months." Elend sighed, shaking his head. "I can't think of anything else, Ham." He turned, staring out over the ashen landscape again. The army was lighting campfires as the sun set. Soon the mists would appear. "I need to get back to the palace and work on that proposal," Elend thought. "Where'd Vin run off to?" Ham asked, turning back to Elend. Elend paused. "You know," he said, "I'm not sure." Vin landed softly on the damp cobblestones, watching as the mists began to form around her. They puffed into existence as darkness fell, growing like tangles of translucent vines, twisting and wrapping around one another. The great city of Luthadel was still. Even now, a year after the Lord Ruler's death and the rise of Elend's new free government, the common people stayed in their homes at night. They feared the mists, a tradition that went far deeper than the Lord Ruler's laws. Vin slipped forward quietly, senses alert. Inside herself, as always, she burned tin and pewter. Tin enhanced her senses, making it easier for her to see in the night. Pewter made her body stronger, made her lighter on her feet. These, along with copper, which had the power to hide her use of allomancy from others who were burning bronze, were metals that she left on almost all the time. Some called her paranoid. She thought herself prepared. Either way, the habit had saved her life on numerous occasions. She approached a quiet street corner and paused, peeking out. She'd never really understood how she burned metals. She could remember doing it for as long as she'd been alive, using allomancy instinctively even before she was formally trained by Kelsier. It didn't really matter to her. She wasn't like Elend. She didn't need a logical explanation for everything. For Vin, it was enough that when she swallowed bits of metal, she was able to draw upon their power. Power she appreciated, for she well knew what it was like to lack it. Even now, she was not what one would likely envision as a warrior. Slight of frame and barely 5 feet tall, with dark hair and pale skin, she knew she had an almost frail look about her. She no longer displayed the underfed look she had during her childhood on the streets, but she certainly wasn't someone any man would find intimidating. She liked that. It gave her an edge, and she needed every edge she could get. She also liked the night. During the day, Luthadel was cramped and confining despite its size. But at night, the mists fell like a deep cloud. They dampened, softened, shaded. Massive keeps became shadowed mountains, and crowded tenements melted together like a chandler's rejected wares. Vin crouched beside her building, still watching the intersection. Carefully, she reached within herself and burned steel, one of the other metals she'd swallowed earlier. Immediately, a group of translucent blue lines sprang up around her. Visible only to her eyes, the lines pointed from her chest to nearby sources of metal. All metals, no matter what type. The thickness of the lines was proportionate to the size of the metal pieces they met. Some pointed to bronze door latches, others to crude iron nails holding boards together. She waited silently. None of the lines moved. Burning steel was an easy way to tell if someone was moving nearby. If they were wearing bits of metal, they would trail telltale moving lines of blue. Of course, that wasn't the main purpose of steel. Vin reached her hand carefully into her pouch belt and pulled out one of the many coins that sat within, muffled by cloth batting. Like all other bits of metal, this coin had a blue line extending from its center to Vin's chest. She flipped the coin into the air, then mentally grabbed its line and, burning steel, pushed on the coin. The bit of
Mistborn: The Well of Ascension, The Mistborn Saga Book 2 by author Brandon Sanderson, narrator by Michael Kramer and publisher Macmillan Audio, with another book excerpt. This has been Rock's Book Previews, Reviews, and Excerpts. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe if you enjoyed the video. Please utilize the links in the description to read or listen to this book if this has piqued your interest. Both these things help the channel and allow me to put out more videos. Thank you for staying all the way through, and see you next time through the wormhole.